What up, what up, what up? It's your favorite shit-talking squirrel, back for the YouTube video. So, Sonny Hostin is possibly one of the most insufferable, woke, agenda-pushing, trash bag human beings I have possibly ever seen. And I submit to you the following reasons as to why I think that is. So, without a long ado, let's just jump into it, shall we? Let's get this.
Critics say that you make everything about race.
Yeah.
And what's your response to people when they say that?
My response to people is that unfortunately, because of the origins of this country and the original sin of this country, everything is about race.
Yeah.
And that's just true.
It's just true. It's just a fact, no matter what. Everything, always, everywhere, no matter what, is always about race. When you walk outside in the morning, go out for a stroll, race. When you wipe your butt after you go poo-poo, race. Go out to get a fucking slice of pizza, race. Nothing will ever not be about race because she is forcing everything through the lens of being about race. In reality, very little is to do about race in 2024, especially for somebody like Sonny Hostin, who makes fucking like $8 million a year and lives in a fucking mansion. But people like her love to wield the power of this like a tyrant, because saying anything against it is perceived as racist or ignorant. Oh, it fucking irritates the crap out of me.
Right? But if we were a country that could come to grips with our history, accept our history, perhaps pay reparations that are due, and perhaps just stop trying to erase our history, I don't think everything would be about race. A woman came up to me and said that I made everything about race and that I shouldn't because she doesn't see race. And I sort of used the Trevor Noah line, like, well, are you able to drive? Do you see red, yellow, and green? Like, can you see a stoplight? So you see color. She said she didn't see color. And I don't care that you see my color. I just want you to treat me the same way that you would treat anyone else with a different color. That's it. Yeah. And I'm going to keep on talking about it, trolls.
She isn't even consistent with her own bullshit. We're supposed to see color, like we can see a stop sign, we can see color, but we're supposed to treat everyone the same as every other color? So are we paying reparations because, of what happened to black people and they're different, or is everybody equal? The reparations thing, it's such a Pandora's box too. Like where does it stop? Slavery goes back to some of the earliest evidence of modern men, from Egypt to Greece. I mean, shit, even black people were predominantly used in Europe in the 1400s. So does Europe and America owe black people reparations? Well, Sonny Hostin thinks so.
About what the monarchy was built on. It was built on the backs of black and brown people. She wore a crown with pillaged stones from India and Africa. And now what you're seeing, at least in the black communities that I'm a part of, they want reparations. Barbados left the sort of this monarchy, this colonization. Yeah. Jamaica, I have a lot of Jamaican friends. That's coming soon. And right now, Charles now is in a position. I think has 14 colonies that he is now head of state, including Australia and Canada, I believe, if I'm correct. It's time for him to modernize this monarchy, and it's time for him to provide reparations to all of those colonies.
Jesus, America, Europe, she's in there talking about Canada and Australia. So where does it end? just everyone? All countries owe reparations. Well, what about Africa? There's a shitload of evidence to suggest that there is African-on-African slavery. So who does Africa pay the reparations to? America? But isn't America the problem? You see the issue here? But even more so, wouldn't it be ironic? Wouldn't it be just choice if after all this social grandstanding about race and reparations, if it came to light that Sonny Hostin, in fact, was descendant from white European slaveholders? Wouldn't you say that maybe complicates things just a little bit?
We're starting a little differently this morning. Sonny, You were just on an episode of Finding Your Roots with Henry Louis Gates Jr.
Was.
Yeah.
And he gave me some surprising revelations about my family history. You know, I was really reluctant. I don't know how you felt when you did it, Whoopi, but I was really reluctant to do it because I just sensed that there could be something in my family history that would be disappointing. Negative, yes. I thought I was going to have that kind of moment. And Skip had asked me to do it for a long time. And I finally decided to do it because I thought it'd be helpful for my children and my children's children to know what their real history was, you know? But what I found out was that my mother's family, while they are Puerto Rican, they actually originate from Spain. And the reason that they moved to Puerto Rico is because the slave trade had been sort of canceled in Spain and then Curacao, and then they moved all of their slaves to Puerto Rico. And so the family business, I had been told that they were printers and journalists, but they were in fact enslavers. And my mother, so
A hush fell over the
it
audience.
was deeply disappointing. And it's deeply disappointing because my mother really identified as Puerto Rican. She was part of the civil rights movement, and she was deeply ingrained in Black culture, and identified herself as Black for race, but Hispanic for ethnicity.
What? Wait, what? You can do that? You can just identify as a fucking race? Did she just say that? She identified as Black, but Puerto Rican as ethnicity? So she was Puerto Rican. So you're Puerto Rican, Sonny. So not only were you part of the fucking slavery problem in regards to Europe, but you're not even fucking Black? Well, maybe you should shut the fuck up about something and even your goddamn business in the first place. Jesus.
Okay.
But her race is white. She's European.
Yeah.
I know. It's weird because when you look at her, my mother's blonde and she has light eyes, and my whole family looks like that. So I think inside, I sort of knew that this was my history, and that's probably why I didn't want to do it. And I spoke to my mom about it. She was deeply disappointed. She actually cried about it. And then she said, maybe that's why I have been so connected to Black culture, because it's an atonement in my spirit.
I had to just let that statement linger there for a minute to really get like the steamy aftertaste of its significance. You know, really let the musk settle into the innards of your nostrils. First of all, if her crying at not getting the race she wanted in the fucking gene pool lottery tells you everything you need to know about how important identity politics are to these people, but more importantly, if we're all fucking equal, why are you sad? What does that say about equality? That you're disappointed you didn't get the one you want. But then, furthermore, this bullshit copium about the end, about atoning by pretending to be Black. What in the actual... You know, a better man than me would call acting Black racial appropriation, not atonement. I'm not saying it. But I know people that would. People like Sonny, for example.
Wow. I'm a little bit in shock. I just always thought of myself as Puerto Rican, you know, half Puerto Rican. I didn't think I was, my family was originally from Spain and slaveholders.
Jesus, look at that face! If that ain't the face of someone whose fucking complete worldview is just crumbling before her in the fraction of a second, I don't know what is. Looks like she's trying to fucking melt this guy's face off like Cyclops from X-Men. Trying to like eye fuck the words back down his throat hole.
Yeah. So how are you feeling, my friend?
I think it's actually pretty interesting that my husband and I have shared roots.
Yeah.
So I do appreciate that. And I think it's great for our children.
Mm-hmm.
to know this information. I guess it's a fact of life that this is how some people made their living, on the backs of others.
Shocking. It's almost like America is a melting pot, and trying to separate everyone into little categories like race and gender is always going to be problematic because our ethnicity means a lot less than the content of a person's character. You know, it's ironic that the people who talk the most about race and gender are the most likely to make judgments based on one's race and gender. Almost as if the people claiming everything is racist are the only ones making it that way.
My argument is that we should try our very best to treat people without regard to race, both in our personal lives and our public policy.
Of course.
And the reason I wrote this book, thank you. The reason I wrote this book is because in the past 10 years, it has become very popular to, in the name of anti-racism, teach a kind of philosophy to our children and in general that says your race is everything, right? And I think that is the wrong way to fight racism, and that's why I wrote this book at this time.
And so many in the Black community, if I'm being honest with you, because I want to be, believe that you are being used as a pawn by the right and that you're a charlatan of sorts.
He's not a Republican.
So how do you...
He's never voted for a Republican.
You said that you're a conservative.
No.
You did. You actually said that in the podcast that you did 2 weeks ago.
I said I was a conservative.
Yes, you did. So, but my question to you is, how do you respond to those critics?
Those critics. What an underhanded way of calling this guy out for political affiliations he has nothing to do with. And again, even when discussing the topic of race and gender, she still can't keep putting people into boxes of race and gender, just immediately labeling this guy as right-wing because he has opinions that differ from hers. Ugh, to frame it as, some people in the black community... Oh, okay, so you and your black community friends got together and talked shit about this guy is what really happened.
When you say that socioeconomics picks out people in a better way than race, when you do look at the socioeconomics, you see the huge disparity between white households and black households. You see the huge disparity between white households and Hispanic households. So your argument, and I've read your book twice because I wanted to give it a chance.
So first of all, I highly doubt she read this guy's book twice. The way they book these shows and schedule these guests, I don't think their schedules would have allowed for that. But as she continues on, it's clear I don't think she read anything past the back cover. For context here, this gentleman is simply saying that race has no place in law and that we shouldn't be giving advantages to one race over another because that's racism. But beyond that, if you address class over race, races who experience poverty will be helped proportionately because a rising tide raises all ships. So if more black or Latino people are poor, creating laws that help all poor people will in turn proportionally help all minorities. The problem with that is people like Sonny, let's call them what they are, fucking racists, don't want equality. They want equity. In other words, she wants more for minorities and less for white people. So you want a specific race getting more advantages than another? Isn't that kind of what got us here in the first place? So your answer to our country being racist is more racism? You see how backwards that is? There's a sketch here that illustrates this point pretty accurately from Justin Long's channel, and granted, I'm picking back a little bit from Nate the Lawyer's video where these clips came from. I'll link both channels in the description, but I think this clip really illustrates the problem with this way of thinking. Let's take a look.
When me and Brad first met, I didn't think we'd get along, but turns out we kind of agree on everything. Your racial identity is the most important thing. Everything should be looked at through the lens of race.
Sorry, I don't know. I just think we should
Roll back discrimination laws so we can hire based on race again.
Your argument that race has no place in that equation is really fundamentally flawed, in my opinion.
Oh, and everybody claps. Of course they do. She even says, in my opinion, that they are so ready to embrace just everything she says as heroic and brave. They just immediately, they start clapping. Oh, she gave her opinion, that's right! Because it aligns with their certain political view. Even though she literally a second ago essentially made his argument for him. If there are more poor black and Latinos, if we institute policy that helps everyone that's poor rather than just a specific color of person, it will help more minorities. But she See, the thing is, she really doesn't want that. What she wants is to separate us even further because it helps her public persona to have an imaginary problem to stand up against because it'll tout her as a hero and brave and she's fighting the good fight. And, not to say that racism doesn't exist, it does. I'm not saying that, but the way to fix racism isn't more racism. A fucking 2-year-old can figure out that equation. A talking fucking squirrel can. God. Ugh.
Two separate questions. One is whether each racial group is socioeconomically the same. That I agree with you. They're not.
They're not. And the stats show that.
But of course, I agree with that fully. The question is, how do you address that in the way that actually targets poverty the best?
Great.
And what Martin Luther King wrote in his book, Why We Can't Wait, is he called it, we need a Bill of Rights for the disadvantaged. And he said, yes, we should address racial inequality. Yes, we should address the legacy of slavery. But the way to do that is on the basis of class. And that will disproportionately target blacks and Hispanics because they're disproportionately poor, but it will be doing so in a way that also helps the white poor, in a way that addresses poverty as the thing to be addressed.
Martin Luther King also said that he had a dream of a day where a man is judged not by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. Sonny doesn't want that. Her view literally stands in opposition of everything the civil rights movement fought for, and has now devolved into the thing Martin Luther King himself fought against. She went too far. She went too left. she went fucking she went too full retard. Can't go full retard.
Everybody knows you never go full retard.
I don't think I've been co-opted by anyone. I've only voted twice, both for Democrats. Although I'm an independent, I would vote for a Republican, probably a non-Trump Republican if they were compelling. I don't think there's any evidence I've been co-opted by anyone, and I think that's an ad hominem tactic people use to not address really the important conversations we're having here. I think it's better, and it would be better for everyone if we stuck to the topics rather than make it about me with no evidence that I've been co-opted.
I want to give you the opportunity to respond to the criticism.
I appreciate it. There's no evidence that I've been co-opted by anyone. I have an independent podcast. I work for CNN as an analyst. I write for the Free Press. I'm independent in all of these endeavors, and no one is paying me to say what I'm saying. I'm saying it because I feel it.
So there you go. You have it right there in black and white. He's not a Republican. In fact, there's actually a lot of evidence to suggest he's actually very liberal. He just has different views about race than Sonny. And of course, because everything's about race and everybody needs to be put into these little packages, because he doesn't agree with her racist ideals, he must be a conservative. He must like Donald Trump. He must fit into this neat little box that I need everyone to fit into in order to separate everyone to keep my position. The ultimate irony, of course, being that Sonny fucking Hostin, on her own TV show in fucking Gucci and Prada, demanding money for reparations and preaching about how fucking oppressed she is so tone deaf and manipulative. It honestly angers me that more people can't see this bullshit for what it is.
I've been a basketball fan since I can remember. I played basketball with my dad in Harlem when I was 5 years old. So I remember loving the game, and the game not necessarily loving women back, right? At all. And the WNBA started in 1996. First games played in 1997. It's 2024, and we're just really now talking about it. And so if Caitlin Clark is the vehicle that will bring this sport that I have loved so much and so long to little 5-year-old girls playing in Harlem, I say yes, bravo. I have no problem with that.
Oh God, here we go. Now America is misogynistic. For the record, women's basketball struggles to have a platform because people just don't want to watch it. Partly because of a talent problem, which, mind you, Caitlin Clark is kind of single-handedly correcting. So for those who don't know, Caitlin Clark is a phenom in women's basketball and has increased interest in the WNBA 20-fold. If Sonny really cares about women's basketball and has been oppressed by the misogyny as she touts, she would be championing Caitlin Clark as the best thing to happen to basketball since fucking Michael Jordan. But of course she won't do that. She can't, because Caitlin Clark isn't the right color skin, despite the fact that whites are actually the minority in women's basketball, but, conversation for another day. There's a but coming here, right? Like, of course she has to throw her 2 cents in that she likes her, but, what could women's basketball fan and women's rights advocate possibly have to say negative about Caitlin Clark? Because there's a fucking but coming here.
with that being said, I do think that there is a thing called pretty privilege. There is a thing called white privilege. There is a thing called tall privilege.
What? What? Tall privilege.
You serious?
Tall privilege in basketball? Oh, holy fuck! Oh, well, at least we finally found it. Yes, I concede. Tall people are indeed getting advantages that short people don't. Oh my good God! Tall privilege in basketball. What a fucking maroon!
And we have to acknowledge that. And so the part of it is about race, because if you think about the Brittany Griners of the world, you know, why did she have to go to play in Russia?
Because they wouldn't pay her.
Because they wouldn't pay her.
Because they wouldn't pay. Not because she was black, but because they didn't believe in the WNBA.
This is part.
Exactly! Oh my God. Not only did her co-host just prove my point for me, it wasn't because she was black, it was because people don't watch the NBA, so they obviously can't afford to pay them the same salaries as men players. If the WNBA players made as much as top NBA talent, that league would go under in like less than a season. It's elementary arithmetic. How much money is coming in versus going out. So wouldn't an all-star player who is going to be a bigger draw help to fix that issue? God, these women are so stupid!
Part of my point. So now, you know, Caitlin Clark is bringing this money, these sponsorships, we hope, into the league, and other players will benefit from it. But I do think that she is more relatable to more people because she's white, because she's attractive. And unfortunately, there still is that stigma of against the LGBTQ plus community. 70% of the WNBA is black. A third of the players are in the LGBTQ plus community.
Dude, who said anything about Caitlin Clark's sexual interests? Why are you? Furthermore, nobody but you is talking about her skin color. Nothing made Caitlin Clark the outstanding basketball player but Caitlin Clark and hard work. In fact, I would argue being white fucking did nothing but hinder her ability to be successful in a primarily black league. God, stop trying to force everything into these little boxes like you want so hard to exist in so you can keep touting this fucking like racist propaganda. That's all it is, man. God damn.
And we have to do something about that stigma in this country. I think that people have a problem with basketball playing women that are lesbians. Who cares? They are great athletes.
Oh my God, I think she accidentally made her way around to a poignant point. Who cares? Who indeed, Sonny? Certainly not the person talking about it on national TV. God, I can't believe more people aren't talking about how awful Sonny Hostin and by proxy this show is. I've heard rumors lately that The View is being canceled and that Sonny Hostin's getting a pay cut and they want to bring in a conservative member of The View and she's being replaced. I doubt that. I think too many people talk about the show for them to do that, but certainly all the backlash they're receiving in the wake of this racist rhetoric is not helping things. I mean, let's call it what it is. The View is nothing more than a political vehicle to tout Democratic propaganda. You know, when I first started paying attention to this show, probably a few months ago, right before the assassination attempt, I could not believe the things these women say about a former and now current president of the United States. It's shocking. I'm not going to go down that road, but you'd think that a nationally syndicated talk show would have some obligation to be objective and have journalistic integrity, but I think we're all kind of collectively learning that all legacy media is just not capable of that anymore. It's just all liberal garbage. And Sonny and her fucking race bait are no exception. When they aren't doing what they can to talk over each other, they're just flat out gossiping. Which, believe me, Sonny is the worst fucking offender of. When she's not being a hateful racist, she's basically the town gossip, but all the celebrities that the fucking show ironically thrives and requires to keep existing.
Well, not to get off the subject, but it looks like the Republican candidate has really messed with the wrong childless cat lady when he posted, "I hate Taylor Swift." Oh. Because apparently he's been under a rock and didn't realize that was probably one of the dumbest things he could do.
There's so many.
So
many.
You know, he's politically activating her army of Swifties. And there are also rumors that her best friend, Brittany Mahomes, who was hit with backlash a while back for liking a pro-MAGA post, she's now rethinking her alleged support. Yeah.
They are reporting on rumors, not even facts. So this isn't even proven, but rumors that Taylor Swift's best friend liked a tweet. Oh my good God. Journalistic integrity is so far from fucking existent on The View. I don't think it even exists on ABC at all, but again, topic for another day. Forget calling Taylor Swift a childless cat lady for a moment, but the only context in which Brittany Mahomes is relevant is because she's friends with Taylor Swift. And dear Lord, the notion that she may, not even proven, but may have liked a tweet of Orange Hitler. Oh dear Lord, all the women of The View clutch their pearls. How dare she? Because God knows if her political beliefs don't align with ours, she's a bad person. She's the enemy. Oh, man, is it fucking gross. We gotta take away her celebrity because she can't be in our cool club unless she thinks like we do.
Just seems to me that since she is in an interracial marriage, she should have known that to support a racist is problematic. Her children are biracial, and her family is one of the families that in the 70s could not have lived in any of Donald Trump's buildings. So it just seems to me that maybe she's just not that politically savvy, or maybe she's just not read in.
Granted,
but it's
all we know is
problematic.
that she liked a Trump post. We don't know. She hasn't stated that she supported him, but that's fair to interpret that she may have. But we don't know that she's a supporter.
Yeah.
Sheesh. Thank God Alyssa's there to step in and correct her. God forbid she get another fucking legal note. She's actually quite open-minded, this girl. Alyssa Farrah Griffin is her name. She actually worked with Trump for a while, and I think that she's walking proof that you can, think one way 1 minute and change your mind the next, and you don't have to necessarily be all in on one side. But Sonny, talking about her family and her race, like, bitch, you do not know her. Keep Mahomes' wife's name out your fucking mouth.
Keep my wife's name out your fucking mouth!
Jesus, they're having full-on discussions about how problematic whether or not she may or may not have liked a tweet is. Ugh. Like, her possibly liking a tweet somehow makes her racist. It's so catty and nasty. It's also far from an isolated example.
You have to keep whatever 9-year-old, 12-year-old, 15-year-old is in your head, keep that child alive. No matter what you see in the mirror, you're still that child. And your imagination has to be bigger than the room, bigger than the building, bigger than the sky, because if you keep the imagination alive, everything is possible.
That's right.
When you limit your imagination, nothing becomes as possible as it could be. So,
now,
yeah.
I'm a former prosecutor.
Yeah.
And there were some other headlines that came out. And I was very upset about it.
Yeah.
Because it was unnecessary, and you don't do that on that special night.
Yeah.
Especially for what I read about.
Yeah.
So what I'm gonna ask you is, there was an incident at the Grammys. It led to you being taken out in handcuffs and arrested. That was wrong. Obviously, it's an ongoing legal matter, so I don't know how much you can say about it.
Well, as a prosecutor, you know I can't say it.
You can't say much. But can you just give us some sort of description, because people are saying they're talking too much.
So you're a prosecutor, you know he can't talk about it, then why ask about it? Unless you're looking to put him on the spot and get clicks, almost as if it's mean-spirited. And part of that mean spirit is politically influenced.
I think the backstage was overcrowded. I think the winners were exuberant. And I think security got a little overzealous, and that's all. It's all, it's water under the bridge for me. Yeah. But I like to say all of my heroes have been in handcuffs: Malcolm, Martin, Mandela, Medgar. So,
What a badass answer to a fucking flat-out accusation. I love this dude. Killer Mike's the man.
You're equally well known for being a political activist on top of your music, and you were a campaign surrogate for Bernie Sanders. You campaigned for your home state Democratic Senators Raphael Warnock and John Ossoff.
Yep.
Yeah, and you got some attention recently for being somewhat critical of President Biden, saying you weren't ready to endorse him yet. What's your holdup there?
What's my holdup? Well, first of all, I think everyone should focus on hyper-local. We get caught up in the soap opera of federal elections, and that's fine. But if you are concerned with the federal election, you don't know who your city council or your wardsman is, you don't know who your mayor is, and you don't have a good list of state representatives or governor, then you're just a part of whoever wins the Super Bowl or fanfare. So,
yeah, it's so true. Like, he's almost kind of calling me out, too. Like, I get caught up in it, especially this, like, last election. But, like, Killer Mike up here just spitting facts as per usual.
My most important election is going to be in about a year and a half for who's my mayor going to be. I think that Andre Dickens is doing a great job around housing in Atlanta, and I don't want that to be lost. Even though we have a Republican governor, Brian Kemp, I have a good relationship with him. I like what he's done in terms of Georgia business. We've been leading business amongst all states for the last 10 years, and he brought back the Hope Scholarship and expanded it. So if you're a kid in Georgia, you're poor, you got a B average, you can go to college for free or trade school. So in my community, girls are going to college, but boys don't have anywhere to go, and they're not choosing to. In my community, I have a push for trades. That's why I support organizations like Georgia Youth Build. I support organizations like Next Level Boys Academy, because they usher out boys. I need my daughters to be able to marry somebody. Right. So, and even in that case, I have said, okay, this governor's doing a good job.
God damn, bro. He comes up here, he's like even referencing certain groups that he works with. Like, this dude's the man. I mean, he's democratic. He works in his community. He's bringing women into the trades, young people into the trades. He's working with kids. Like, what could Sonny possibly have to say negative about what Killer Mike is doing? Like, what could you possibly have an issue with?
In terms of nationally, I'm just kind of doing what my grandfather said, staying out of white folks' business and watching what happens. I'm going to see what happens. If there's a candidate that pops up around September, October that needs a push that's really in policy.
Ugh, just look at her face. Even her body language there, the posturing just screams, "You're not waving our banner. You're not saying what needs to be said to align with my beliefs. I now hate you." I mean, that is hate coming from her fucking face right there. Oh, it's just pathetic.
Wise is good for us, going to jump up. But for right now, I just don't want to be involved in the soap opera because I'm much too concerned about what's going on in Atlanta on a hyper-local level.
That's so important.
You lost me a little bit with your support of Kemp, but let me tell you this.
Not support of
some
Kemp.
Of his policies.
That's some misinformation. You cannot like me, but don't lie on me. I saw someone I really respect, a black woman who's a commentator.
So you don't support him, you like his policies.
Well, I support
some specific ones he named.
Beyond it, he's the governor of my state, so I have to be involved with him because I can't divorce myself. But let me say this. If you criticize someone, don't lie.
Damn, bro. Fucking Killer Mike is a real one. He did not let that slide. Not at all. She tried to fucking come at him funny, and he's fucking standing on business. Twice now, she's tried to fucking throw him under the bus. And he just, like, really respectfully, too, but also tactfully just owning fucking with Sonny. What a G. Like, mad respect. He came on this show, and the second they started getting side A's with him, he was like, fucking, not today. Oh, I wish more guests would do this, but, like, of course they aren't. They're cherry-picked to be on their side, but, like, Killer Mike, I guess they couldn't resist the name, or, this is fucking great. Get him, dude. Fucking get him.
Don't say I didn't support Abrams, because I did. Don't say that I don't support Democrats, because I've helped get 3 Democratic mayors elected. I've helped get 2 state representatives elected. But if someone is in the king's seat, I'm not going to not have dinner with the king on behalf of my people. I have to do that.
Jeez, this one's so common sense. I'm honestly shocked that Sonny is holding Killer Mike to task for just effectively just doing business with a Republican. She's so extremist that in her mind, if you have a different political opinion than the correct one, because let's remember, everyone who votes unlike her is uneducated. She said that the day after the election. She came on The View. They all came out in black like a fucking funeral pyre and said, if you vote for Trump, you're uneducated. So if you disagree with her politically, you're not only evil, but you're stupid. So in her mind, now that Trump is president, that's it. Nobody can do business with him. If you're doing business with the president, you're evil and you're stupid. So essentially, the Democratic Party is now prevented from doing policy for the next 4 years. God, she is so fucking close-minded and wicked and hateful. It's making me wicked and hateful.
Nobody cares about like facts anymore. Nobody cares about like actual data. Like everything is about opinions and narratives and your feelings. And like you have really smart people, like actually intelligent people that have doctor in their name and PhD, and even they're all about opinions and narratives and their feelings as opposed to what the actual facts are.
Yeah. Data shows. Well, since this book is all about having real conversations, let's get to it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. Her using this guy's book as an excuse to get real and have a real conversation is possibly the fucking weakest segue I have ever heard. In her mind, getting real is sandbagging guests of her own fucking television show, mind you. Her calling these celebrities out for not endorsing her candidate is far from an isolated incident. They gossip and effectively bully anybody who strays from the light. Even political allies like Charlemagne the God, who is a known liberal, you'll see, will get taken to task for not endorsing Joe Biden. Because I think Charlemagne knew that he was fucking out of it, and him trying to throw Joe Biden's name out there as endorsed by Charlemagne the God was going to be problematic. Like, he can be a Democrat, but he doesn't have to vote for a guy who can't fucking speak, for Christ's sake. This was before we saw the debate, so he was right to not endorse Biden.
Let's get real. Now, you have a massive platform reaching millions of listeners, and you and I have talked about this before. You endorsed Joe Biden back in 2020, but this time around, you say you're not going to endorse anybody. Charlemagne, now is not the time, in my opinion, to sit this one out.
Yeah. I didn't say that. I never said I was sitting it out.
What you gonna do?
I'm definitely voting in November, but what I like to focus on is issues, not individuals. Like, when
but
you
why not endorse?
Huh?
Why not endorse Biden?
Because none of your fucking business? Jesus.
Because if I'm sitting here telling my listeners that, you have somebody out there who is a threat to democracy, you have somebody out there who said they want to, suspend the Constitution to overthrow the results of an election. You saw this person, try to lead an attempted coup of this country, and I'm telling people that this guy is a threat to democracy. Have you ever read Project 25? There's only 2 candidates out there. So if I'm saying that about this individual, the choice is clear, right? And I've seen y'all do this on The View before. I saw y'all do this to Killer Mike when he was on The View, and Killer Mike literally sat here and said, hey, I supported Keisha Lance Bottoms. I supported Ralph Warnock. I supported John Ossoff, right, in Georgia. And he said, you should support the people that I've supported. You should support the person who the people I've supported are supporting.
Okay.
That's y'all opportunity to say, well, clearly he's talking about President Biden. Why do y'all need us to say this if we don't feel comfortable saying it?
No, it's not that we need you to say it, but I think other folks need to hear because, one of the things I'm sorry, I just jumped you, I'm sorry, but one of the things that we've been talking about is the fact that getting facts out through the media seems to be very difficult.
Whoopi Goldberg on ABC talking about how difficult it is to get facts out in the media. That might be the biggest example of hypocrisy I have ever fucking seen. Whoopi, you are the problem. Every program on ABC or CBS before noon is the fucking problem. Oh my God.
I feel like I just spewed some facts.
Yeah.
Yes, but we need you to do it on your show.
Well, the reality is I think both candidates are trash. So but I am going to vote in November, and I'm going to vote my best interest, and I'm going to vote who I think, can preserve democracy. So if I think both candidates are trash and I don't feel like, endorsing one, would you rather me endorse an individual or endorse the fact that, hey, we need to go out here and protect democracy?
Charlemagne, I hate to be the one to break it to you. None of these women want any of that. They don't want gray. You aren't allowed to think independently. You can't come up with your own ideas or opinions. You either get with the program or be lambasted on national television. Sometimes without even real cause or explanation. These women love to shit talk and gossip so much, Sonny in particularly, that they literally have to stop the program frequently so the producers can force them to read legal notes so they don't get fucking sued. So much so that a couple weeks ago, Sonny had to hold up the program for almost 5 minutes after on national television, she went on a tirade spouting baseless accusations about a political opponent to a point that the producers made her read 3 separate legal notes through gritted teeth. It might possibly be the most glorious couple minutes of television I have ever seen. To see this walking trash bag get forced into admitting she's lying and gossiping on national television to their audience of fucking wet seals who just clap on command like the fucking brainless sea creatures they are.
Now his lawyer.
She needs to get asked about that. She needs to get asked about that, and definitely, I'm sure she will.
And there is also some bribery accusations. I have a legal note.
You want to take this one, Joy, or are you
Matt
good?
Gaetz has long denied all allegations and has not been charged with any crime.
That's true.
Also, another legal note. Pete Hegseth's lawyer said he paid the woman in 2023 to head off the threat of a baseless lawsuit.
Oh.
He has denied any wrongdoing.
That's interesting. Pay off the witness. Okay, here's some good news about my life.
Okay.
Okay, hey, so it's Beefy from the editing room. I didn't notice this the first time around, but Joy actually interrupts her to do this little advertisement for the stage show. That's what's going on in the background. It's actually kind of cute. She's like really excited. I don't hate all these women. I actually quite like Joy Behar, even though she's as brain dead as the rest of them. But so Joy cuts her off because she thinks that she's done with the legal notes, and you can see the excitement from Sonny as she thinks she's effectively getting off the hook from reading the third legal note.
Okay, here's some good news about my life.
Okay.
Because she's already read 2, and the producers have told her, you need to read these. We're going to get fucking sued, which is why she looks so angry while doing so, because it's basically the opposite of what she had literally said earlier in the program. She called him like a CP and all this like nasty stuff, and then has to go in there and say, everything that I said earlier actually isn't true. I'm just, spouting hateful rhetoric. Well, they don't let her off that easy. After Joy's like 5-minute advertisement of her stage show, Sonny has to derail things again to do another legal note. Oh my God, it's so good.
Just scan the QR code on your screen for ticket information. I'm excited.
Another legal note. I'm sorry, everyone. I have another legal note.
Oh my God.
Both Trump and Pam Bondi have denied allegations of a quid pro quo that his past donation played any role in her office's decision to not take legal action against Trump University when she was, of course, the Attorney General of Florida.
Oh.
This show is going to be just legal notes and things we're selling.
That's what I said we're going to call it, the legal note.
Yeah.
They fucking might as well call the show a legal note. Any brand name recognition or goodwill The View might have carried from the Barbara Walters era is just gone. The View is now known for being nothing more than the liberal cesspool it has become. It seems like every day we're reading in the news, like more and more headlines about these women getting themselves into trouble for the crap they spew on effectively a daily basis. All while being owned by Disney. That's like the most ironic part to me, is a company built on children's entertainment and joy now makes their bones spouting fucking left-wing propaganda, oftentimes making baseless accusations about a former and now future president of the United States. So much so that they literally give Trump less grace than they give actual fucking murderers. Just this past Tuesday, December 10th, when news broke of Luigi Mangione and the murder of the CEO of United Healthcare, they made sure to take a beat and assert that, he's just an alleged murderer.
I wanted to just say 2 things. One, we're all trying to figure this out, but these are allegations still. There hasn't been a conviction, and I think we need to make that clear. Everybody is presumed innocent until proven guilty.
Unless you're, president of the United States, in which case you're a rapist, and we need to weaponize our justice system to file charges that are politically motivated, which at best had insufficient evidence and at worst came from completely phony testimony. I mean, shit, even Biden himself admitted that when he pardoned his son Hunter, that those charges were politically motivated. So if you're admitting that possibility exists, then you can no longer sit there on your high horse and say that nobody is above the law. Like, clearly, if one party was able to bring up charges for political reasons, then it's not out of the realm of possibility to say that happened to Trump as well. You know, I think back to the assassination attempt, and it really kind of opened my eyes to how dishonest shows like The View are. To their own admission, even. I've seen guests and even Whoopi herself admit that she watches the news and reads it more as political narrative than journalism. Sonny Hostin and her cohorts are the worst offenders of that, but luckily I've kind of noticed a shift happening in our society. We see daily people kind of making fun of The View and calling it out for what it is, and I think a lot of you will agree with me that the Democratic Party in particular has really kind of lost their way. I used to consider myself left-leaning back in the 2020 election. If I had voted, I would have voted for Biden. I thought it was the party of intelligence and kindness. But these past 4 years, I really feel like liberals have kind of lost their way. As I said earlier, that they've gone full retard. And Sonny is really the prime example of it. You know, woke has somehow shifted from being about inclusivity and tolerance to really just a group of judgmental assholes that are so unwilling to hear other people's opinions. You're hated and shunned for them. Nobody can say anything that doesn't align with their viewpoint. And as a rule, I fucking hate. Like, flat out, full stop. I don't care what, political affiliations you have, skin color, any of that. Just don't be a fucking asshole. We shouldn't be based on the color of your skin, your political affiliation, the gender, your sexual orientation. We shouldn't be exiling those with differing opinions. In fact, if anything, we should be listening to them the closest, because they might know something we don't, or they might have life experiences that led them to think that way. It's when we were going to grow and evolve. I really wonder sometimes how the party that used to reflect tolerance and unity has now devolved into the party of racism and hate. If you're going to claim to be anti-racist, like the Democrats do, then you need to speak out against all racism. If you're advocating for minorities to get more than white people, you're racist.
Damn!
Flat out, you're a racist person. If you're pushing for female rights, but you don't also push for men's rights, you're a sexist. You just are. That's a fact. You prefer one sex to the other. You're advocating for one race over another. I really hope that this election, with the overwhelming majority voting for Trump, will spark some kind of change to really get rid of this way of thinking. It should not be a controversial opinion to say discrimination against white people is racist. It shouldn't be problematic to say we have a problem with men's rights and women's rights in this country. I didn't think it was a hot take to say sexuality doesn't necessarily belong in the forefront everywhere, like in schools, for example. These didn't used to be extreme positions. They were just thought of as being a kind and thoughtful person. Jesus, like, what happened, dude? I get there's all this talk about tribalism and all that, but if somebody's different from you, judge them on the content of their character, and not just the color of their skin, but any things that are beyond their control. Alright, well, that's enough for me. I'll step down from the proverbial soapbox, Thank you so much for watching, though. I really had to get this off my chest. As you can see, I had a lot of opinions on it. I constantly see Sonny Hostin in the news and on social media, and I really felt a driving need to speak out about what a horrible person she is. Mainly because of all of her crusading, but it's more because it's under the guise of political activism. But in reality, she's really just fighting to keep her position at the top of the pile. That's, like, let's call it what it really is. She's made her bones being a hateful and racist person, and so why would she be motivated to change that? So that's it. I hope more people will speak out against her. I'd love to hear your opinions in the comments. Do you hate Sonny Hostin like I do, or am I a racist bigot? I'd love to hear from you too. I don't put any filters on. Call me out if I'm wrong. How will we learn if we don't discuss these things? So feel free. And hopefully I'll see you in the next video. Thanks again for watching to the end. Leave a heart in the comments so I know you're part of the cool people club who actually watched the entire video. And yeah, until next time, we'll see ya. Bye.